was no real participation other than by Zoom, so he'll participate in that. But other than that, we don't have anything going on here that he would be involved with. So to answer your question, he's participating in Zoom.
Okay.
And again, just a reminder on this, it's voluntary. So as we go forward, that's also another part of it.
Do you and the organization, do you all still put trust in Rashee with his decision making and everything?
Well, yeah, listen, as long as he's learned from it, that's it. That's the important part of it. And, we'll take it from there and see.
Chiefs coach Andy Reid yesterday talking about the absence of Rashee Rice from the start of the offseason program. Everyone is absent from the offseason program to start things off in Kansas City. It's virtual. The team told me that over the weekend. I was trying to get a clear answer from someone. It's just there's a weird vibe. The Chiefs won't say anything about Rashee Rice. They had no statements last week as he was charged with 8 felonies, turned himself in, posted bond, no comment, no comment, no comment. The only thing that anyone had said before Andy Reid spoke yesterday was when team president Mark Donovan 2 weeks ago said, thank God nobody got hurt. It's like, hey, Mark, people got hurt, as we'll talk about in a second. So, no, you're incorrect there. So it's just a weird vibe. And the question becomes, when the players show up, will they let him in the building? 5 years ago, when Tyreek Hill was being investigated, when his son turned up with a broken arm, that all hit right at the time the draft was getting started. The Chiefs and Tyreek Hill decided he'll stay away for the rest of the offseason program. I feel like that needs to happen with Rice. I feel like someone needs to be the grown-up in the room here. SMU suspended Teddy Knox, who was driving the other car in this, without giving it a second thought. Now, as Shireen pointed out on Friday, he falls into the scrub category, so an example gets made of him. But somebody's got to do something about this Rashee Rice thing. 8 felony charges. Are you kidding me? And everything's fine? We're not going to do anything about it? Somebody's got to do something about this. You convinced me of that last week. Not that you were trying to, but as we talked about it in the aftermath of the charges, it's like, yeah, you can't just act like everything's fine. Something's got to be done.
Yeah, well, we use it as the prism of like, hey, we're getting to the time of the year where the weather's nice, Young kids drive a car fast and do stuff like that, right? We talked about, hey, the NFL needs to maybe make an example or put their foot down right away to kind of scare that from happening. We'll see where this goes here, but, again, the Zoom thing and all that, it's buying them time, the fact that they don't have to worry about anybody being in the facility and no personal meeting there or a body like Rashee Rice walking in the building and then now, the local news station's got him on camera or whatever else, right? So they're buying time. But I'm in my heart of hearts think that something like what you're saying will happen when it comes time to, the team's now officially getting back together after the draft. We're going to have an OTA or we're going to start the in-person workouts there, right? Whether the team or the NFL have a conversation or they do it themselves, I would be shocked if it doesn't go that way. Like, hey, the NFL hasn't gotten involved yet, but the team goes, hey, Rashee, we're coming back, but, I think it's best if you stay away right now. You're a distraction. I don't think it looks the right way, right? We got to get some things figured out here right now. There's more bad than good than you coming here right now. And I don't know if the NFL, steps in too at that same point, but I will be surprised if that doesn't happen. I'll say that much.
If these charges are still pending when the start of the regular season rolls around, when we're in Kansas City for the first game, whoever they may be playing, we'll find out in a few weeks. I can't imagine Rashee Rice being at the game on the field if he has 8 or more felony charges pending. Remember, he is yet to be charged for leaving the scene of an accident involving injury. They could be adding more to this, all in an effort to kind of overwhelm him and get him to plead guilty. His best play would be to do the best plea deal he possibly can because he's clearly guilty factually, and then you hope for lenience in the sentencing process, and you hope for some sort of resolution by the league that allows you to get back to your career at some point after a minimal suspension. Either way, I'll be very surprised if he's there when we're there for the first game of the regular season, and the Chiefs need to be ready for that. And when you look at the quote that we heard from Andy Reid, Chris,
right,
as long as he's learned from it, that's the important part of it. That tells me they're already predisposed. Examples are made of the scrubs. Excuses are made for the stars. That's an excuse. As long as he's learned from it, that's the important part. Well, tell that to the people who got injured. Tell that to the state of Texas that had its laws violated in a very violent and jarring way based on the video we saw. As long as he's learned from it isn't the only issue. Others need to learn from it, and there needs to be some sort of punishment. That's what the criminal justice system does. You have laws that if you break them, there's punishment. There's a sanction in order to get other people to not do the same thing. Learning your lesson with no punishment isn't enough.
No, usually not. Usually not, especially, with football players who are, the masters at, like I said last week, F it, screw it, blah, 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 I'm invincible, let's do it again, blah, all that thought that goes into the football player's brain that's been in my brain. So, yeah, that's where, usually something substantial happening teaches the player that way. The thing I keep coming back to here, the more I think about it too, is the Chiefs are in a precarious situation right now at the wide receiver position, right? They're in a spot here where you almost feel like they're kind of handcuffed, that they're going to have to draft, no pun intended, handcuffed, and going to have to, draft a receiver in the first half of the draft, right? I mean, where you look at the Chiefs roster right now, who are you going to trust, right? Sky Moore hasn't quite worked out to the way they wanted, right? Justin Ross, a guy that they took a chance from out of Clemson, there's been talk about, but what are they going to put him out there and make him a starter all of a sudden and do that? I don't see that. Kadarius Toney and that weird, crazy situation, can they rebuild that and get him confident and get the team back confident in him? Right? There's just not a lot of proven commodities is what I'm saying. Yeah, Justin Watson's there, and we know he's a solid role player type of receiver, right? Valdez-Scantling's gone. So that's where I look at it, and I go, I know they signed Hollywood Brown. It's a one-year deal. He certainly will help out and have a role on the football team in some way. We know they know how to use those type of guys. But nonetheless, that's a little dicey when you look at what they got right now on the roster and proven commodities, guys you can trust. Ooh, we know we can depend on him to do this, and that. Man, they're in a I'm not sure about that world right now at that position as far as the Chiefs are concerned.
Valdez-Scantling is still available. He could be re-signed.
Yeah,
he had some massive salary under his contract that they wanted to get away from, and no one else has bitten yet on Valdez-Scantling. He may be waiting until after the draft to see what kind of an offer he can get. Tyler Boyd is out there. OBJ is available. Jury is out on how much he really has left in the tank. He said at one point back in February that he'd like to play 4 more years. I think 1 or 2 more years is going to be, an impressive feat given all the injuries he's had and given that last year he wasn't tremendous. $15 million base salary and actually earned $1 million in incentives. He got $16 million for his 1 year in Baltimore. He's not going to get anything close to that wherever he goes. But that's an option as well, or the draft, or trade for Brandon Ayuk, which I don't know if the 49ers would trade him to the Chiefs.
Right.
I'd like to think that, the main litmus test is let's not have him in the division or the conference. Let's get him to the AFC. But the idea that we get back to the Super Bowl again, and now we got Brandon Ayuk on the other team, I don't know about that.
I don't either. And I don't think that's the Chiefs are going to be looking to, hey, let's trade assets away and then pay a guy, big money like that and deal with that. I don't feel like that's their type of move, but something's going to have to be done, to your point. Something. Whether one of those veteran guys, right, that they feel most comfortable with the price and where they are at physically, or the draft. But yeah, I would think that they are looking to bolster that wide receiver room a little bit there.
We had no idea that Tyreek Hill was going to be traded until the day that he got traded. Is it crazy to wonder whether or not he'd kind of like to go back? Is it crazy to wonder that after 2 years of dealing with him, the Dolphins would be like, yeah, maybe it wouldn't be so bad if he went back?
I don't know. But the one thing is, I'm sure he's looking at it going, damn. I mean, I like Miami. I'm from Miami. It's awesome. I'm having fun. But damn, the Chiefs are good. Like, oh, man, I'd have 2 more rings, right? He'd have 2 more rings. He'd probably be now more in the conversation for, like, greatest receiver in the history of the NFL. Those are the what-ifs that I think will bother Tyreek Hill. But damn, I don't see that happening. Mike McDaniel, that offense, it's all about Tyreek Hill. I mean, that's the awesomeness of it. He took the Tyreek Hill motion and the way he's used to a whole nother level, even from where Kansas City had it. And it's a big part of the success of their offense. So I don't think they're ready to disabandon that yet, or abandon that, I should say.
Disabandon. Nope. Yeah, it's just like checkers.
It's
the hands
double.
Is off.
It
Once
was a
the
double.
word is done.
It's really
I kind of like
abandoned.
disabandon.
It's really
I like
abandoned.
disabandon. Disband, abandon, disabandon. I like it. I like it. By the way, there are conflicting reports out there about the lawsuit that has already been filed against Rashee Rice for the crash that happened late last month. Some headlines, he's been sued for $1 million. Other headlines, $10 million. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what a jury gives the plaintiff is all that matters. There are certain numbers you have to put in to get past the jurisdictional minimum, so you're not in small claims court. There's certain magic words you have to put in the civil complaint. That number is there mainly for media consumption, to get attention. And it's just weird. I see 1 million in some places. I see 10 million in others. Somebody either added a zero or somebody missed a zero. It doesn't matter. It'll be driven by the actual medical bills. It'll be driven by the pain and suffering that the plaintiffs experienced, and their lawyers and the plaintiffs themselves will hope that there'll be some sort of a sense of outrage over the recklessness of the accident that will cause the jury to give more than they otherwise would give simply to compensate. And there'll surely be a claim for punitive damages because this borders on willful, intentional, grossly negligent, reckless, etc., the kind of thing that could unlock an award of punitive damages. So it doesn't matter. Here's your continuing legal education, or just flat out legal education if you've never had any whatsoever. The number in a lawsuit does not matter. What matters is the number on the piece of paper when the jury comes back.
Okay, that's good. I didn't really know how that kind of went down either. So that's actually a good little tidbit for a guy like me. But either way, yeah, someone are coming.
Yeah, for future reference.
For future reference.
Hopefully
not
you're not
for
living
myself.
that at any point.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean,
Let me tell
listen,
you.
he's in a mess, and this is a mess for the Chiefs and a mess for Rashee Rice, whose career was just starting to flourish, and we're starting to go, oh wow, he looks like he could be something special here. It's just gonna derail things a little bit.
It's been more than 16 years since I last experienced this, and I don't know, during my practice, 15, 20 trials, I don't know. But when you hear that knock on the door when the jury's got their verdict, I mean, everything on the inside is looking for a way to get to the outside. I mean, the whole, just until it's done, it is a horrible feeling, and it starts when you hear that knock. So anyway, another reason why I'm very grateful, even though I have to deal with you 4 days a week, 2 hours a day, it is still better than the stress and the strain of practicing law and having to try cases and just sweat out every single verdict, because you never know. You never know. Anybody who thinks if you haven't noticed, there's a high-profile trial that's happening right now, and you got people pontificating about this, that, everything. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Anybody who tells you they know what's going to happen in the outcome of a jury trial is either stupid or lying, because nobody ever knows what a jury's going to do. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.